Exactly 3 months ago today, we broke ground here. This was nothing but grass, and we rented a sod cutter to start cutting out space for these beds. I thought I'd take y'all inside and show you the progress that we've made. For those of you who may not want to stick around for the full video, I thought I'd do a quick but slow pass through row by row, and then I will get into more specifics of what we got going on here. Everything here, for the most part, was started indoors under a grow cart by seed or direct seeded in the ground. With the exception of I bought some rosemary plants and leeks because I forgot to buy leek seed, and then some of the flowers. Most of the flowers I started from seed, and obviously the dahlias were the tubers. And speaking of seed, I am very pleased with how these came out. These are Rudbeckia Prairie Sun, and I am just in love with them. These were about 2 to 3 inches struggling seedlings about a month ago when 2 months ago when I planted them, and I didn't think they were going to make it, and look at them now. The corn is pretty much ready. I have a lot of harvesting to do, at least the sweet corn in the front here. We have some beans, some bush beans coming in, doing very well. These gorgeous purple ones. I love how they catch the light. Back here I stagger planted a different variety of corn for drying. It's an Italian heirloom variety that I'm going to try and dry and turn into polenta, provided the squirrels don't get it first. We'll see what happens with that little experiment. And this was another experiment. I grew edamame for the first time, covered in tons of pods. That should be ready soon. Today I plan to pull these snow peas, which have actually made it through the heat, astonishingly. A few cool purple varieties mixed in there. But I will be planting snap peas here for the fall today. We have a cantaloupe plant. It's getting hit by the sun a little bit there. And back there, a pumpkin that was decimated by squash vine borers, which I have been battling all season in this garden. Here we have some scallions I started from seed and some monster scallions that I transplanted. Up before here was where the fennel was that I already harvested. There's the radishes, where the radishes were. I'll be planting more today. Have some onions and shallots that started from seed, some leeks. Happy little carrot patch, and in between is a couple rows of parsnips. I've never grown those before. Trying those out. At the end we have the potatoes. They're finishing up. They should be ready fairly soon. Across here we have some more flowers. Some zinnias I started from seed. Lisianthus that I purchased. Dahlias. Sweet potato patch coming along nicely. And now I'm back by the potatoes again at the end of the row. I have some zinnias and some dahlias, and the thing I have struggled with most this season, my pickling cucumbers, which have battled just about everything. Started out getting just annihilated by cucumber beetles when they were tiny. Then some of them I lost to bacterial wilt, and now we got, I believe, downy mildew taking over, and I'm just trying to get them to hang on. Think I might get past it and get another good harvest out of them. We'll see what happens. Over here we have the herb patch with some flowers. I've never grown parsley or sage or thyme and oregano down there. Here's the thyme, or celosia for that matter, from seed, but I did this year and it all seems to be doing very well. Very happy with the results. And I plan to be selling some potted herbs in the future. That's my goal. I've already made one batch of pesto, but clearly round 2 needs to happen. These are all of my basil plants. And coming down along here, we have the first loss to the squash vine borers, and then this is a gorgeous Zephyr Squash plant. If you're ever looking to just get one summer squash plant, these are fantastic, very prolific. Ooh, there's an extra big one in there, but they're just covered, as you can see. This is all one plant, and it holds up to the squash vine borers typically. You can see I've got some diatomaceous earth in there trying to thwart that larva, but it made it through, and it's hanging in there. And this here is a Cocozel summer squash. Really cool looking, closest looking to a traditional zucchini, but it's got these awesome stripes. This was a total loss to the squash vine borers. A gorgeous plant, same size as this one, just gone in a day. Went straight through the base. Here we have patty pan. I already harvested a bunch the other day, but that one looks like it's ready. Moving across is a butternut squash plant. There's a bunch coming in there. There's one. Again, everything just started 2 months ago, so we'll see what happens. On the other side of the arch, we have this experimental coconut squash. It's from row 7 seeds. It's a winter squash. And just beyond it here, I have their center cut summer squash variety. Let me see if I can. I'd already had like a huge harvest of these, so we got more forming. They're these cute little rounded ones with a little bulb at the end. Very delicious. Next to the center cut, we have a pumpkin plant, and it's been 2 months. We got 2 more, so we'll see what happens. If I get some pumpkins, I get some pumpkins. I did the best I could to start everything as soon as I could after building all of this. This was an experiment. These 2 little determinate tomato varieties were supposed to be 54 days. That's why I grew them, but now they are ripening same time as my giant late slicers. So that didn't really pan out. This is the first side of the tomato bed. 22 plants, 15 varieties. Coming around here, some big old beauties forming here. Nice big giant one. Another lots of giant slicers here. In fact, my biggest problem, I would say, is that all of my small to medium tomatoes are turning into large to massive slicers. This was supposed to be a medium-sized tomato. And look, speaking of large, these are my San Marzanos. They're all this size on all the plants. Coming in huge. Can't wait to make some sauce with them. They're doing amazingly well. Behind me I have the last of the broccoli. Most of it's been harvested. It might form some side shoots in the upcoming days, get some more broccoli out of it. Over there we have another pumpkin, which is wilting a little in the sun, but it's fine. It's just the sun. And some Chinese cabbage. That was an experiment. Over here below the sunflowers, this is today's project. I will be planting my fall garden of spinach and mustard greens and lettuce. All the lettuce has been pulled, and I trimmed back my bolting arugula. That will bounce back, I'm sure, and I'll have another great harvest in another month or so as these temperatures cool down. Moving on past the broccoli, we have some Brussels sprouts that are just starting to form the little sprouts in there at the base of the leaves. I don't know if you've seen those stalks at the store with the Brussels sprouts, but this is how it starts. Then we have the pepper patch. Many different peppers of all varieties. Hot ones, sweet ones, in-between ones. These are funky little in-between ones there. I'm not sure you can see them all. But without making you dizzy, the peppers are kind of hard to show. But there's a lot growing in here. Down next to the peppers we have the eggplant. This is a tiny start of an Asian eggplant. beautiful little stripes on it. And these gorgeous Anina eggplants coming in. They're covered many. And at the very end I have some Rosa Bianca that I already harvested. So you can see I've been battling flea beetles, which is pretty typical for eggplant, but they're hanging in there through it. They're big enough now that they're withstanding. I've been using some organic treatments on them, but they're hanging in there. So this is looking back at the peppers and eggplant, tomatoes. Back there we got the broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Moving over here, we have kale, some stunning kale in front of the sunflowers. We've got 5 different varieties of kale. This really cool Siberian frills kale. I've never grown that before. I really like it. More of your standard green kale back here. And then beyond that, we have 4 or 5 different varieties of Swiss chard coming in nicely, and some frisee back there that held up beautifully through the summer. Hasn't bolted, still going, still harvesting from it, so I'll just keep that around and see what happens. And if you've never seen Mexican sunflowers, I take all these photos of them and people think that they're photoshopped on the color, but the color is just so stunning and vivid. It really is the color. They're not photoshopped, and I love sprinkling them in. The bees love them even more than the other sunflowers. And we have some that have yet to bloom, some varieties that have yet to bloom, so those are coming along. These little teddy bear sunflowers down low are just starting to open, so have some color on all levels. And it's really tall, so this is a 7-foot fence, just to give you an idea. That sunflower is just going for it. Close to 9 feet now. And I think that is everything. Thank you for joining me on my tour, and I should be posting some more videos as we get through the fall, show you the fall garden progress. And this is of course half the space that we're planning, well, less than half. I'm going to double it next year, but then I have plans to go and do even more the following year. So hopefully next year everything we build will be to sell. And if you'd like some tips and more information, follow me on my Instagram or Facebook page for Radici Homestead, and I will even be posting some how-to YouTube videos on the Radici Homestead YouTube channel. Thank you.